Hello everyone, my name is Yanu and I want to welcome everyone and introduce everyone to my podcast, I Speak African. My podcast, the purpose of my podcast is to speak on issues that happen all over the African diaspora, so the Caribbean islands, the Americas, and Europe. I also want to talk about questions that, Black people might have, whether it's dealing with religion, relationships, schools, growing up, as Black people or as African people or Caribbean people. Because, our parents don't speak to us, our parents don't answer our questions. And it's like all of our parents work for the FBI or CIA. They're very secretive. They work only at night. They don't tell you what kind of work they do. They just say they do work. And as an African, as an African and African American, I want to speak about topics that Black people go through throughout the diaspora, and the topics do not always have to be serious. We can sometimes talk about anime or video games, TV movies, and I encourage people to ask questions if, you want to get something off your chest. So I guess the first topic I would like to speak about is Gilbert Arenas. If you don't know who Gilbert Arenas is, he is a retired basketball player who played for the Washington Wizards. I think that was the bulk of his career was with the Washington Wizards. And he's really stupid. I don't know if you guys remember, but he got suspended for bringing guns into the locker room. So because Gilbert Arenas is stupid and doesn't know how to manage his money, like many professional athletes, they now have a whole bunch of podcasts where they say dumb stuff. Gilbert Arenas went on his podcast or somebody's podcast and started just, insulting, down talking South Sudan's basketball team. And he started, just speaking negatively and using a lot of anti-African, anti-Black rhetoric and, giving into this old, misconception or trope that Africa is full of savages and African people. We don't know anything and we don't have shoes and we walk to school and we have lions as pets and elephants and dumb stuff. So before the Olympics started, United States basketball team had an exhibition match against South Sudan's basketball team, and because the U.S. basketball team did not take them seriously, South Sudan almost beat U.S. basketball team. If it wasn't for LeBron James, they would have lost because it was only a 1 point advantage, or the score was I think 99 to 98, 98 being South Sudan and 99 being America. So, America barely beat South Sudan, and Gilbert Arenas started making dumb jokes and saying how they don't even have basketball courts. They don't have basketball courts. They don't have rims. They don't have shoes to play with or basketball shoes to play with. And he was making stupid, tranquilizer dart jokes that, some comedians have been making, that were making back in the 80s, which was very outdated, but that's what he was saying. And me personally, I wish South Sudan would have won because I think, in my opinion, when you play any kind of competitive sport or match, you should always go in and be very seriously. And the fact that America didn't play South Sudan as seriously as they should have from start to beginning shows that you can't always underestimate your opponent, and that's what happened. And also, a lot of these South Sudanese players currently play for the NBA. If they don't play for the NBA now, they once did. Some of them, are I think not Manute Bol, but Bol. I think it's Manute Bol's son. Bol played for the Magics, so the Orlando Magics. I think I forgot what team he got traded for, but there are a lot of South Sudanese players in the NBA, just like there are a lot of Nigerian players in the NBA, what's his name? Bam. I forgot his first name, but they call him Bam. So there are a lot of African players in the NBA, and it's very sad that in the black community, there's so much anti, you know, anti-blackness, Afrophobia, because had this been like a European team, like, and we're not talking about, you know, established European teams. I'm like, let's say if it was like, I don't know, like Poland. I don't know if Poland's good, or let's say like Czech Republic. Gilbert Arenas wouldn't have said that. And it's sad that we as black people, we can just dog each other and no one comes to our defense, because we don't even come to our defense. And not only was it Gilbert Arenas, but also Paul Pierce, who's a retired basketball player as well, and he played, I think, the bulk of his career. I think he played his whole entire career for the Boston Celtics. He said something along the same lines too during his analysis of the match, which wasn't nearly as insulting as Gilbert Arenas, but it was still insulting. The fact that you have teams that now are part of FIBA, where they play for FIBA. I think they're part of their organization, and they're good. So it's like, because they come from Africa, they can't be good. Like, that's stupid. That doesn't make sense. You know, it's like saying, like, because American soccer players come from America, they can't be good. Yeah, it's known that. I mean, it's pretty well known that American soccer players don't compare to other countries, like the European soccer players, or the South American soccer players, or even some African soccer teams. But wouldn't say that they're all bad. Um, yeah. So, like I said, I'm glad South Sudan almost beat America. I know they didn't do as well during the Olympics, but it shows you that you can't sleep on Africans just because you have some anti-black, or you know anti-black preconceived notions about Africa. Um, I also want to talk about Tiffany Haddish. So I don't know if you guys heard, but Tiffany Haddish recently visited Zimbabwe. So she was in Zimbabwe, and she, how she's always animated and loud and stuff. Um, so she went to Zimbabwe, and she went to a grocery store, and she was like, "Wow, it's so like," she was so amazed. She was like, "It's so clean, and the food is fresh, and all this stuff." And you know, she was just really flabbergasted. And a lot of people took that as her insulting Zimbabwe. But I mean, if you know Tiffany Haddish, I'm not saying I know her personally, but if you've seen her, she seems like to be a nice person. She might say stupid stuff or do dumb stuff every now and then, but she seems to be very, um, genuine and nice. And to be honest, I saw the video of her being surprised about the grocery store. It was coming from a place of love, because as somebody who was born in America and lived in America all their life, let me tell you, our grocery stores are disgusting. They're dirty. The food is, a lot of times the food is rotten. Eggs are cracked. Milk is spoiled. People don't want to do their work. So I would be surprised too, and I would be very like awestruck if I saw this super clean grocery store, because I'm comparing it to the United States of America, and our grocery stores are dirty and they stink. And depending on where you live in America, you got crackheads running in the store stealing food, and doing fentanyl and all types of crazy things. So I'm not mad at Tiffany Haddish, nor do I. Nor am I going to jump on the bandwagon of saying that she was trying to, uh, put down Zimbabweans and insult Africa, because she wasn't. Tiffany Haddish is also African too. Her father's Eritrean, or is it Ethiopian? One of the two Habesha countries. I can't remember, but she's African too. So I don't, as somebody who's been to Ethiopia or Eritrea many times, I don't think she would just be like, "Oh, Zimbabwe's dirty and whatever." No, she seems to be very, you know, very her surprise and her admiration for Zimbabwe and the grocery store in Zimbabwe seemed to be very genuine. Um, Whether or not she's come up with an apology, I don't know. We wait to wait to see. Now I want to talk about another. This is actually a controversy. I want to call the last one a controversy. This is actually a controversy. So the whole controversy behind Miss South Africa. So during there was this whole controversy during I think July and August. A girl or a young lady by the name of Chidimma Adetshina ran for Miss South Africa. And as you know, many South Africans do not like other black foreigners in South Africa because, many South Africans, because of apartheid, they have Stockholm syndrome and they want to be the only blacks in South Africa, even though they're the majority of the country. I think they're 80% of the country. And the Wazungus are something like there's something small, like 7% country, 8% is Wazungus. So they want to be the only blacks in South Africa, and a lot of them don't like Nigerians because they say that Nigerians sell drugs. Well, that may be true, but everyone sells drugs. Who was selling drugs before the influx of Nigerians came to South Africa? South Africans. Whether they were black or Wazungu. Did you go up to the Wazungu people and be like, hey, get out of our country? And keep in mind, South Africa belongs to the black people of South Africa. It doesn't belong to the Wazungu people of South Africa. But like I said, because, many black South Africans have Stockholm syndrome, they now see Wazungus as their saviors and their countrymen or their comrades. So, like I was saying, there's been all this controversy about Chidimma running for Miss South Africa, and in my opinion, it got really out of hand because she was not only getting death threats, but they got I don't know what it's called in their country, but it's like the Department of Immigration. They got involved, and it's this guy named Gayton McKenzie, and he's tweeting on Twitter as a South African official, and he's like, yeah, we're going to look into this. And I think that's ridiculous because as an American, if let's say an illegal person was running for Miss America, I wouldn't care. What's that got to do with me? Is it going to make my life easier? Is my life going to somehow get harder because Miss America is not, she's not black or she's not white? No, my life is not going to change regardless. But because South Africans have issues with other black people, they put so much energy into this. And now this girl's getting the death threats. A lot of her family business coming out. And they're saying the reason why we don't want her is because she doesn't represent the everyday South African girl. She doesn't speak any South African tribal languages, which they call vernacular. She doesn't speak any South African vernacular. She doesn't speak, she doesn't speak vernac. She doesn't know anything about South African culture. And it's like, okay, so what about the current Miss South Africa who was just crowned? She's Wazungu. She doesn't speak vernac. She might speak Afrikaans, but she doesn't speak Zulu, Xhosa, Sutu. She doesn't speak any of that. But they have no issue, screaming at her and harassing her and sending her death threats, And it's like, it's really sad because during apartheid, a lot of so-called foreign black people are the ones who fought with the South Africans so they could get freedom. But I guess we have a new generation. Well, not even the new generation, even the older generations. I've seen videos of, older generations of South Africans, saying like South Africa was much better during apartheid. At least we had some kind of order. And I was like, how is being a slave better? How is being a slave better? How is having your life how is living in constant fear better? Like, that's crazy. But that's what a lot of them think. They even have this political party in their country called Operation Dudula, where they just go to harass different kind of Africans, whether they're Nigerian, Zimbabwean, Kenyan, Ugandan, whatever. They harass them and it's like, show me your license, show me your papers. I need to make sure you're a real South African. And it's disgusting, and it's really gotten out of control. And one thing I don't like is how when xenophobic attacks or some Afrophobia happens in South Africa, you have South Africans saying, I apologize on behalf of South Africans. No, apologize on your behalf because you do not represent the whole entire country. You do not represent all black people in South Africa. So we don't want your apology because your people continue to do it. Yeah, but on a lighter topic, the Olympics just ended, which I did not watch, but they were phenomenal, and a lot of black people won medals, which I'm very happy for. There was, for the first time ever, Botswana, the small southern African nation, won a gold medal. Uganda also won a gold medal. Kenya won gold medals too. Simone Biles, if you guys don't recall, she had to drop out 4 years ago because she had what is called the twisties. It's a gymnastics term, and she said her mental health wasn't doing too good, so she dropped out. And now she came back and just winning gold medals like crazy. And also, I think a Brazilian, Afro-Brazilian, won a gold medal too. That was nice. Also, Sha'Carri Richardson won too, which I'm happy for her too because last time she got disqualified for smoking weed. But now she came back. She won a gold and a silver, which is very good too. I was also very proud of Coco Gauff. I'm a really big fan of Coco Gauff. I think she's a nice young lady. Very well mannered. But unfortunately, she didn't win any. She didn't win a gold medal. She lost. But she's still very young. She's only 20 years old. And next 4 years, the Olympics are going to be in Los Angeles. So we'll see. Maybe I hope she wins in 4 years time. Who knows? Even maybe I might go. I've always wanted to go to the Olympics. So we'll see. Also, Team USA won, which I'm not surprised. I think after almost losing to South Sudan, they were like, okay, we gotta be serious now, and they beat France. They beat France, I think by like 15 points. But speaking about athletes, one thing I want to speak about is what's his name? That guy that plays for France. I'm a big fan of his. Kylian Mbappe. I think that's his first name is Kylian, right? Mbappe. Well, Mbappe. I'm a big fan of his, but I think he made a very bad decision when he did not take that deal. I think it was Saudi Arabia. They were offering him $800 million for 1 year, and he should have took that deal. Now I get that he feels beholden to France, but France does not care about you, Mbappe. They care about what you can do for them. Just like I don't know if people remember when that African guy he climbed up like 4 stories to save that baby, but before he saved that baby, he was an African, and then after saving that baby, he was a He was a Frenchman. So it's like he had to perform some kind of incredible feat to now be recognized as a Frenchman. And they also promised to make him a firefighter, which they did not make him a firefighter. But they did give him citizenship. But on a bleak note, I don't know if people have heard about the riots in England, which have gotten pretty crazy, which I'm not surprised because the world is becoming crazier and crazier as the years go on. So in case you don't know, the backstory is that with the catalyst of these riots was that 3 little girls in early August were stabbed by a guy. Now, when this guy stabbed, and this is why misinformation is so dangerous, because they said that this guy was a legal asylum seeker. So he was in England legally. He snuck his way into England, and then he stabbed these girls, and these girls were Wazungu. So it turns out that the guy is actually English. He's from Wales, so he's Welsh, and his parents are originally from Rwanda, so he's of Rwandese descent. But because people don't fact check anymore, they don't do news properly anymore. They were like, yeah, he's an illegal. So all the Wazungus in England went crazy, and now they're, being very belligerent and violent towards black people in the UK, because But like I said, I'm not surprised at all. The UK is the father, the originator of racism. That's where racism started in the UK. They had the Royal Slave Company, and that was owned by the royal family, the Royal Slave Company. That's where slavery started. That's where racism started. So I don't know who's surprised about that. Yeah, and lastly, I want to open up part of the segment or part of the podcast for questions. If anyone has questions they want to ask, or they want to talk, they want to say something, or they want somebody to listen to them, or they want to get something off their chest, feel free. As I said in the beginning, as Africans, there are a lot of topics that we don't speak to our parents about, because our parents sometimes can be strange, and and they're very, and also our parents have a lot of trauma that they never sought help for, so they don't even know how to speak to us. So and then also, like, I listened to other podcasts where Africans will come on, or Afro English people or Afro British people come on, and they would talk about their issues as a Nigerian living in the UK, or a Kenyan living in the UK, or even when you have Africans who either immigrated to the United States, or Africans who were born in the United States, and they talk to people about their issues. Like, the people give them very generic answers or very generic solutions, because they don't understand African culture. So as somebody who is born in America but also African, I understand the culture very well. And I understand, certain aspects of Caribbean culture. And because so many Africans, like Nigerians and, Kenyans and Ugandans, live in the UK, I understand, like, that's still African culture. So that's something that we can speak about, if you guys want to speak about. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at ispeakafrican12@gmail.com. Well, thank you for listening to my first episode, and have a blessed day.